Good morning, y'all. Coming to you live from the kitchen table. My name is Patrick, and this is What's Happening in Indy. All right, we are here. The kickoff of the Daily Show. Technically, that was yesterday, Monday, with episode 6 featuring Baby Ebony. Tune into that if you haven't already. But today, Tuesday, December 9th, which I forgot to say in that intro, it's the start of this daily programming, Monday through Friday of the week. So thank you for being here. If you're here with me, shout out to y'all. If you are just joining for the first time, go check out the first 5 episodes of From the Kitchen Table here on Substack. You can also check that out on YouTube as well as Apple Podcasts. I think some other podcast sites will be on there soon, but for now, those are your options. So thank you for being here. Without further ado, let's get into it. Here is what's happening in Indy today. I got 2 things top of mind. This past weekend in sports, the Big Ten Championship in college football happened here in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium. Between Ohio State, the Buckeyes, who are very frequently featured in this game, and their opponent, the Indiana Hoosiers, IU Bloomington, ranked number 2 entering the game, undefeated, and having the best season that they've ever had as a football team. Later Saturday night, in what I would probably describe as an upset. However, honestly, based on like strength of schedule, I don't know that it really was an upset. IU won 13-10. And I think I saw that this is IU's first Big Ten championship in football since like the 50s. Maybe since 1945. Did I see that right? I don't know. I don't have it pulled up here. I also saw that they haven't beaten Ohio State in like 32 straight meetings, which I think goes back to like you play once a year, not even. So if that's 30, that's 30 years. The 90s at the earliest, at the latest, I mean. So big deal. Big time win for IU. This win not only was big because, like, historically not usually beating Ohio State or historically not winning the Big Ten championship in football, but historic in the sense that it swapped places with Ohio State, who had been, I think, the number 1 team wire to wire, and now will enter the college football playoff as the number 1 overall seed, the top overall seed, and solidified themselves a first-round bye. So, big things for IU football. Why am I talking about this? Well, I'm a Purdue fan, if you don't know, and okay, so I wrote this on Threads, but I feel like I have grown up enough that I enjoy seeing IU succeed in sports because I think it's good overall for our state. It's good when the state's teams, Butler, Notre Dame, IU, Purdue, all of our Division II and Division I, 2A, or whatever the divisions are anymore, whenever those teams are doing well, that's good for the state. As a Boilermaker who grew up in like the Hummel era, that's when I was in college. And prior, like, I grew up with the IU sucks chant all the time, and we moved beyond that, I think. At least I have. And yeah, it's cool to see them succeed. However, I did say this as well. If for some reason IU happens to ride this momentum and win the national championship in football this year, I'm going to have a spectacular crash out because that will have occurred before Purdue themselves has captured a national championship in basketball, which men's basketball, I should say. Purdue did win the 2000 women's national championship, so it's not like we are national championship less. I would just love to see our men's basketball team win a national championship. We are overdue. And I'm going to say right now, if IU wins this championship and Purdue, for some reason, fumbles the bag and does not win a national championship this year, I'm going to release a podcast where I go into the 2 times in my lifetime where Purdue should have won the national championship and did not. And I'm going to walk you through my experience with those, and maybe have some guests on. That's going to be an in-depth one, but that's what's going on right now. Purdue fan going through it, but love to see Indiana as a whole succeed. Shout out to all my IU friends. Shout out to my IU family. I am married into an IU family, so they're really enjoying it. But yeah. That is that. We will see. College football playoff, I think we're about 2 or 3 weeks away. 2 weeks away from IU playing their first game. So good luck to the Hoosiers. I am 99.8% rooting for you and only 0.2% me not rooting because I don't necessarily want to have that conversation. But we shall see. All right, the other thing I want to talk about is redistricting. That is continuing apace for the TLDR. In November, the House and the Senate in Indiana signed a resolution saying that they were not going to reconvene in the year 2025. They would reconvene in January, and at that time, they would take up the quote-unquote mid-cycle redistricting effort. About a week after that, they said, just kidding. We are going to actually come back in December and do this. So on the 1st, the House reconvened, and so that was last week, and all of last week, they had, I think, 2 committee hearings. And at the end of last week, the bill for these new maps, which would break up District 1 and District 7, historically Democratic strongholds, and the 2 Democratic seats in the U.S. Congress. They passed that through. I think it was 57-41, the vote, or 43 maybe. So that is going to arrive on the Senate's desk today. So I'm recording this on the 8th. You're listening to this tomorrow, which is the 9th. But today the Senate is convening, and the goal for them, for Senate Republicans, is to ram through these maps. And so one thing I wanted to say is that there was a lot of testimony given by members of the Indiana House last week. I think it was 43 or 47, somewhere in the 40s, members spoke. All but 2 spoke against this effort of redistricting. The 2 people that spoke for, Ben Smaltz, I believe, who is quote-unquote the author of this map, of these new maps, even though almost 100% positive that these were drawn by somebody in D.C., because as they themselves have stated, these maps are purely meant to create a political advantage during the midterms for Congress, the U.S. Congress, nothing to do with Indiana. And then Speaker of the House, Todd Houston, who is the one that led the charge to reconvene here in December. The Senate meeting on the 8th, there is a bit more public resistance, and from what I have been told, allegedly, there are enough votes, enough nays, that in committee this shouldn't make it out of committee. So we'll see. This is a big week, so we will see. Next week I'll have an update for you on that, hopefully, and hopefully it's a positive one. But at the end of the day, the takeaway for redistricting specifically is that this particular move, like I said, and like the GOP has stated themselves, is purely political, has nothing to do with helping Hoosiers with affordability, with healthcare, with access to essential services, nothing to do with supporting Hoosiers, everything to do with disenfranchising them, specifically voters of color, black and brown voters who find themselves in District 1 or District 7, Marion County, or I believe Lake County in District 1. So that is the move, and the hope is that the Senate will maintain their backbone and vote the maps down. The public pressure has been immense, specifically the public pressure to vote them down and to say no. Hoosiers don't want this. But I will say that there has been a rise in violent rhetoric from the right directed at members of their own party who have publicly come out and said that they are a no vote on redistricting. So we got to be watching that. Shout out to those reps who have put 10 tones down and stood on business with this. This is a litmus test. Supreme Court just ruled that Texas maps, which kind of kicked off all of this at a national level, can move forward. So if these maps make it through, it's going to be that much more difficult to counter them from a legal sense. But we will see. We will see. I would love to hear your thoughts on redistricting. So if you have any, drop them in the chat. Let me know. Reach out to me at Patrick in the World directly on Instagram. And then if you're an IU fan, I could use some love. I'm rooting for you. I promise. And we'll see. But yeah, until tomorrow, thank you for being here thank you for kicking off the dailies with me. I'm really excited about testing this out. Join us on Substack. And until Wednesday, see you tomorrow.